Two strong earthquakes that struck Luzon and the Visayas in less than 24 hours have put the spotlight on the safety of buildings. How can you prepare to survive an earthquake? Good evening, I'm Ruth Cabal. This is On the Record.
There's just been an earthquake felt in different parts of Metro Manila.
Yanig naman ang magnitude 4.7 na lindol ang Davao Oriental.
6.2 magnitude earthquake at San Julian in eastern Samar.
Our guests for this episode, Engineer Frederick Sison from the Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines, or ASEP. We also have Disaster and Crisis Lead and Wilderness Search and Rescue Philippines founder, Dr. Ted Esguerra. Engineer Rogelio Legaspi, the City Engineer of Manila, is also joining us via phone patch. Good evening, gentlemen. So I'm looking at figures from the NDRRMC, Region 3. 16 dead at least because of the magnitude 6.1 earthquake. Most of the fatalities are from the Chusan supermarket in Porac, Pampanga. We just got new CCTV videos from that. Before we start our discussion, tignan muna natin itong mga videos. So yan yung kuha from the just several seconds. Oo, di ba? Bumagsak agad. It was just released today, kaya ngayon lang din natin nakikita. So, yun nga, Engineer, si President Duterte is saying na there could have been possible shortcuts daw sa construction. Gusto niyang imbestigahan yung may-ari. Looking at the videos and looking at yung mismong site sa Porac, anong nakikita niyo how it collapsed and the structure itself?
Well, from what I heard, initially they said it was a two-story building and then it was later on converted to a four-story. So the question is, was it designed to carry the four-story? Or if it was changed, was during the renovation, was it reviewed properly and so on? Plus, yun nga, Porac is also, the soil in Porac is ano siya, medyo sandy. So there is also possibility of the soil might have been in liquefaction and things like that. But I think the major point is, was it considered to be a four-story building or just a two-story building?
So ano bang problema doon? Kasi DPWH is saying, pag ganun nga, yung foundation ba ng building?
Yeah, if it was designed for a two-story, so yung additional loads, hindi na kaya ng mga poste niya. So obviously, kung hindi na kaya, then there's a really big possibility na magbibigay siya. So initially, kung wala naman earthquake, maaring kagaya nito, nakatayo naman siya, but yung strong forces due to the earthquake might have caused yun nga, it was the reason for yung collapse ng building.
When the President visited the area, ang sinasabi niya, yung mga nakatayo naman daw sa gilid niya, parang may court ata, may market. Hindi naman bumagsak ng ganun.
Yeah, so actually nga yun yung one of our parang if it was how come it's only one structure that collapsed in that area, samantala yung other structures there were still standing. So kaya yung question is, was there parang pagkukulang kumbaga sa design or sa construction?
Pag ganun, kailangan ini-inform. Sinong dapat ini-inform pag may change in design?
The building official, of course, yung local government. Usually for any changes, papa-approval it sila. It's going to the process of constructing a new building. You go to the process of getting a permit, tapos they issue a occupancy permit for any change dun sa building mo. So
pag ganito, dapat tinignan kung in-approve ba yan or kung nasundan yung dapat na preparations for like the foundation nga.
Yeah, kung nagkaroon ng rectifications to handle that number of stories ng building.
Si Dr. Ted was there during rescue operations. Kayo, anong napansin nyo? What was the hardest part dun sa rescue operations?
It was my team that went there. So I was just coordinating. The first few teams that arrived outside Manila. So I called up Bulacan Rescue, their nearest. Why I called up Bulacan Rescue under this Mungkal? Because they have equipage for urban search and rescue, which is designed for structural collapse. Number two, because I'm the founder of WISAR, so I can just mobilize WISAR right away, and they're used to respond with least equipment and logistical support. And also I contacted RAHA. These are volunteer arms. So when they went there, actually they were able to recover 3. So I was given update from time to time, even videos on how they access. So in addressing to structural collapse, you have to have special skills. Gladly, we have trainings here. Unlike before that, like you saw, I got it from Japan and I got it from Singapore. Today, it's available in Pasig in RED. So most of them are graduate from RED and they were able to employ the procedure. The hardest thing about USAR is breaching because
Ano ibig sabihin nun?
breach you have to
Pag natabunan ka ng pader,
break
ganyan.
walls and you stabilize areas, you use struts, rams, you buttress so that the movement area will be stable. And when I say stability, it should also withstand, like for example, if there are aftershocks.
Yeah.
Or there are other movements of other rescuers using heavy equipment like crane, so that may cause vibration. So it is a very complex battery of operation. And the good thing is they were able to save 3, and I'm happy with the 3 counts there until MMDA, Army, BFP came in. The challenges on structural collapse is even if how you train yourselves, when the building collapses, it's always unique.
Yeah.
And there are all other hazards depending on what's in that building. For example, if it contains some sort of chemical, or the building goes into fire, or if it's like what happened in Baguio in the days of old, you know, the pancake collapse there, wherein to access vertically what's underneath, you really have to breach all the way down. And of course, in recent times like this, we have this light locator. It's a machine that we put on top, and within 30 feet, it can already monitor movement, so it blinks.
Okay.
At 15 feet, other than the movement, it can monitor breathing. Unlike before that we don't have such things. We rely on dogs. And the ugly thing about dogs is they are also subject to stress, particularly if you ship them from Manila to, for example, Manila to Pampanga. So they are subject to travel stress. And when the building collapses also, you will, of course, there are fumes, which affects the olfactory terminals of the dog. So, but somehow, this USAR is a complex of operation. They have logistics, command and control, we have the search and rescue, and of course, we have the pre-hospital care unit.
Pero I want to ask you both gentlemen, pag mga ganitong buildings, ano ba yung like kayo in terms of rescue or yung nakikita nyong deficiencies or defects, ano ba yung usual na problema sa mga ganitong commercial buildings, or wala bang exit or dikit-dikit ba yung pagko-construct ng building?
Well, in terms of the structural, again, if it wasn't designed, usually what we're afraid of is buildings that were not engineered, kumbaga. Kumbaga, hindi na design ng engineer. So usually, yung bakal niyan, either kulang siya, yung ties, kulang or maluwag yung spacing. So usually, yun yung meron tayo kasi yung mga vulnerabilities that we see. Some structures are more vulnerable than the other structures. So depending sa configuration niya. So usually usually engineers talaga, yung structural engineers, yung nakakakita ng mga ganyang bagay. So for most of the structures that are not engineered, yan yung typical na nagiging failure niya.
Dr. Ted, pag nagre-rescue operations kayo, ano nakikita niyong mali doon sa mga structures?
Yung part ng culture natin kasi is we are not yet so matured in coming up with earthquake engineering, unlike what I see in Japan.
Other countries, yeah.
We are people, we fancy ourselves with aesthetics. So our buildings are rigged with glass panels na
Gusto natin maganda tignan, oo.
And you see sometimes, you know, in the building where I work, yung isang understructure na are made of tiles. So if I have to evacuate crossing that corridor, so may potential. So imagine, not directly, no, during the first wave, structures might be weakened. So during evacuation, when there's aftershock, baka doon ako mabagsakan. So, one thing leads to another. Just because the basic thing, the baseline is we did not perfect it like creating really the earthquake engineering thing. Another problem that I encounter as responder is we are not into sensing the sensors. Our building have no sensors.
correct.
Okay.
We don't know when to evacuate.
Sensors for
Like ground
shaking. May
accelerometer.
Yeah, accelerometers.
I can a sensor that can determine acceleration, displacement,
Displacements, yeah.
density, and then even tilt meters, stress sensors, inclinometers, like those, so that if they're available and they are attached to the mainframe, and it's programmed like this building, we are to evacuate at 6. So when it hits 6, then it creates an alarm, then
Yeah.
we evacuate. So because most of the buildings are not equipped with such, so we just evacuate tansya-tansya lang.
yeah.
So when we evacuate tansya lang, we cannot assess the building. We rely on the physical...
Kung hindi naman kailangan, baka mas safe para hindi magpanic. Pero Dr. Ted, balikan natin yung ating usapan tungkol dyan. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about yung very graphic na video nung Emilio Aguinaldo College sa Manila na nakatilt. No? So, balikan natin yan mamaya. You're on the record. You're watching On the Record on CNN Philippines. Balikan kita, engineer, dun sa sinasabi ni Dr. Ted na sensors, yung mga buildings daw natin, hindi ba required yun?
It's actually required now. May memorandum na yung DPWH and mga LGUs that for a certain type of buildings, depending on the height, depending on the occupancy, depending on yung importance ng building, they're required to have yung mga sensors na yun. So basically, the idea is to have sensors located at least certain areas of the building to monitor yung, kasi kagaya naman yung sa lindol ngayon, nakita natin sa videos yung mga gumagalaw. So at least we monitor those things. So there's a threshold kasi. We design it to a certain displacement kung hanggang saan kaya niya mag-displace.
Kasi sabi nga, wag matakot kasi sadyang yung ibang buildings talagang nagsisway.
The principle of design now, dati kasi gusto natin massive eh. Ngayon, mas okay daw pala yung mas nagsisway siya with the ano. So, but of course, there's a certain limit. So the sensors basically would tell you yung thresholds niya, kung na-reach niya na ba yung limit na yon. And then based on that, we can actually decide initially kung safe pa ba yung building. So ganun, and then at the same time, it can also be used as an alarm. So pag nag-reach yung certain intensity, it can trigger alarm, same as a fire detection system, para mag-vacate yung mga tao.
Okay, so isa dun sa nakita natin na talagang naapektuhan ng earthquake, yung ASEP building, Emilio Aguinaldo College building in Manila. Kasama natin si City Engineer of Manila. Hello, sir?
Yes, good
Si Engineer
evening.
Legaspi, yes. Engineer Legaspi, ano ba nangyari dito? Kasi kitang-kita na talagang nag-tilt eh. Talagang parang nakadikit o nakasandal dun sa katabing building itong ASEP. Ano po bang nangyari?
Actually, ma'am, nung ongoing construction pa lang yung adjacent building, magkadikit na sila.
Pero nakasandal lang ganun, sir?
Nakadikit na po talaga sila.
Okay. Bakit
May
po?
picture kami na nung ongoing pa lang yung adjacent building, magkadikit na talaga sila.
Pwede po bang mangyari yun? Is that safe or... Sir?
Yes po.
Yung
nga
design na yun,
situation
pwede bang ganun talaga sila magkadikit?
Nung property line nila, nagtayo tong adjacent, vertical, magkadikit na talaga sila. Meron ngang portion na nag-encroach yung baluster doon sa adjacent na ni-remove pa ng adjacent.
Okay, so kahit na, kasi ito yung nakikita nating video, parang nakadagan or parang naka-tilt yung ASEP dun sa kabilang building.
Opo, dahil yun nga, nung ongoing pa lang po sila, ongoing pa lang tong adjacent building, yung bagong structure, magkadikit na talaga sila sa taas na level.
So you're telling us that that was not caused by the earthquake? The tilting?
Kaya po, yun po ang situation na real situation. Magkadikit na sila, ongoing pa lang nung adjacent building.
Oo nga po. So hindi ho siya dumikit dahil dun sa nangyaring lindol?
Kaya po, hindi pa naman, unless proven na nag-tilt siya. Kaya po may mga kinokondak na mga test, yung kung meron bang tilting na nangyari. May mga test po sila, may further investigation pong ginagawa ang committee na kinrate ng DPWH, yung composite team, composed ng mga ASEP, ng PICE, ng DPWH, ng local po. At may kinomisyon na rin pong dalawang consulting engineers, consultant ang ASEP to check yung structural stability ng building.
Pero pag ganyan po kalapit, pwede po ba yan? Pinapayagan po yan ng engineering office na ganyan kadikit yung dalawang separate buildings? Apo. Engineer?
Building code po. Nasa property line.
Engineer, can you repeat your answer, sir?
Opo, nasa property line po kasi itong adjacent property within property line nila.
Pag ganun po, ano pong ibig sabihin nun?
Opo, allowed po sila na mag-construct.
And you can assure na safe po yon. Pwede pa pong gamitin yung building
Opo,
hanggang ngayon?
ano?
Oo. Cleared na po ba yon?
Opo. Now, within property line, wala po silang violation tong adjacent kasi po within the property line sila.
Within property line. Okay. Oo.
Opo.
Okay, so what you're saying, again, engineer, is pinayagan po na magtayo ng ganun kalapit na building because it's within property line. Tama po ba?
Yes po, yes.
Okay, sige. Anyway, we have an engineer here with us in the studio. Pa-explain ko lang kay engineer, ano ba ibig sabihin ng sinasabi ni Engineer Legaspi na within the property line?
Okay,
Medyo nawawala kasing linya natin.
Basically, the building, you can build within your property line. So as
Okay.
long as your building is within your property line, kumbaga, it's your jurisdiction ng building owner yon. Now, with regards to, we actually, yung nabanggit to ni engineer na may composite team yung DPWH. I was actually involved during the inspection. Although, of course, DPWH will have their final recommendation and findings. But if you can look at the building, medyo yung angle lang siguro, I think, based on what we saw there, the angle that the picture was taken, medyo na-distort lang yung... But we...
Ito. Ayan, engineer. Oo.
Medyo distorted yung picture nung yung pinaka-building. So, part of our team conducted also a verticality survey. So, basically, nag-survey sila, tinitingnan kung meron talagang nag-tilt siya. So,
Kung may
initial-
nangyaring movement talaga dun sa
Kung
building.
nakatilt yung
Oo,
building.
oo.
So, parang, basically, lumalabas naman na mukhang hindi naman talaga siya actually nag-tilt. Except that yung sinasabi nga ni engineer na magkadikit talaga yung dalawang building.
Pero yung nabasa ko ibang reports na because of liquefaction, posible ba yon?
Well, the area...
What do you mean by liquefaction
Well,
in the
liquefaction
first place?
is
Okay.
it's common to yung mga sandy na lupa. And what basically happens, pag mataas yung tubig, the particles tend sort of floats dun sa water habang nagkakaroon ng ground shaking. So in effect, para siya nagiging quicksand.
Okay.
So parang quicksand, any load on top of it will settle. So usually, for engineers, for those types of soil, we design it using mga pile foundation. So para kahit na mag-liquefy yun, yung pundasyon niya hanggang dun sa matigas na part ng lupa. Manila is, dahil ang Manila mataas talaga yung tubig dyan, it is prone to liquefaction. So the question is were the building designed considering that it is liquefiable? So that's one thing that we have to look into kung na-design siya yung ganun type ng foundation.
Pero from looking at it, yung videos and yung pictures, sabi mo, posibleng medyo distorted yung picture.
Yeah,
Or so, pwede nga yung sinasabi ni Engineer Legaspi na ganyan na talaga yung itsura niya. Hindi siya nag-tilt because of the earthquake. So, although iniimbestigahan pa nga, tinitignan pa.
Kasi there's also certain signs kung talagang nag-tilt siya. Of course, imagine kung nag-tilt siya ganon, di may lulubog dito sa isang side, may aangat sa isang side. But if you go around, wala kang makikita sa sidewalk, walang cracks naman eh. So, it's really possible na the buildings were constructed na magkadikit sila. So, right now, we're just checking if the building is, kung may damages ba sa loob. Of course, yung damage
yung mga cracks na ganyan, baka mamaya dati na yan. Or,
baka dati na yan. Of course, we can't discount the fact na nag-move talaga yung building. Kasi dati hindi naman siya na-damage. Na-damage siya because of the earthquake. Then the question is, was the damage that extensive that hindi na ba pwedeng gamitin yung building or not? So, that's why DPWH is doing the inspection and investigation now.
But generally, kasi I'm looking at this 2011 study of the UP Institute of Civil Engineering, 35% of low-rise residential buildings in Metro Manila and 25% of mid-rise may not be up to standards. So kasi daw based on old construction codes and standards ito. So sa survey nyo, may ganito pa rin ba? Because we have a new national construction.
Actually, in terms of the numbers, hindi ako masyadong particular. Hindi ako masyadong familiar with the numbers. But Again, with the engineers here, usually ang pinaka-concern talaga namin is the high-rise buildings, of course, the owners would invest on engineers to design the building. It is the low-rise and the mid-rise that sometimes yun yung mga non-engineered. So minsan yun yung mas
Yung mga
concern
bahay
namin.
kasi,
Yung mga
oo.
bahay, may kilala lang na foreman, dinesign, kinonstruct without even consulting an engineer.
Pag ganito ba, Dr. Ted, anong tinitingnan nyo? Kunwari, you're made to check also a building in terms of how to evacuate, yung safety features ng building. Ano ba dapat ang pinaka-importante?
Yeah, on the side of evacuation, syempre titingnan namin 'yon. No, if it's really favorable for evacuation. There might be buildings na they easily tend to collapse and they will lack corridors. Number two, if we are the rescue teams and we are outside, of course we are to go inside. So we really have to look at it at the 6, 12, 3, 9, or if we have helicopters to infill on top. And during operations, when we do building search, we do it by level. So if we can access, like we use ladders so that we will not use staircases. If we use staircases, it's graduated. If we are trapped somewhere there, then that's gonna be a problem, like what happened during the September 11. So we have to do it in a graduated manner. One of the tedious and the most, I'm so afraid to perform is always the building search. It's very messy, particularly if there are internal structures which got destroyed during the tremor. And there is the challenge that there are people inside, you don't know where. And the third thing is there is no availability of the engineer to give me a blueprint. And I'm going blind inside. And the third thing, if there are other hazards like presence of smoke or other gases which are detrimental to my performance. So I have to use the SCBA. So when I use SCBA, it has, a lifespan depending on how I breathe. So these are things I look into. But I'm being corrected right now. Because on the camera, I saw it looks like it's tilted. So if I'm to operate on a building, I have to have a time frame. But when we talked a while ago, so it was just for me some sort of an optical illusion. Probably because of
Yung dun sa EYAC.
yeah, because of
dun sa
how
EYAC
the
sa Manila.
camera looks at it. So we do really an intensive profiling before we enter.
Okay. We'll be back after a quick break to continue our discussion. Keep it here on CNN Philippines. Thanks for staying with us. This is On the Record on CNN Philippines. So, yun nga, engineer, are most of the buildings here in the Philippines earthquake resilient?
Well, we have the standards and the codes. It's basically updated on international standards. Also, it's as long as we follow those standards, the building can withstand up to an earthquake magnitude of 7 to 8.4. So, ang principle naman ng code is it won't collapse. It may sustain cracks, pero it will give ample time for the occupants to evacuate.
Pero yung ganyan, di ba, i-inspect mo kung sumunod nga sa code. That's up to the local government units. But most of the government units, medyo kulang ata sa mga engineers, ano? Kasi ginawan ko na yan ng report before, na marami sa kanila kulang ng engineers, eh.
Yun. Kulang ng engineers, minsan iba, kulang ng awareness. Actually, the association and the organization, PIC and ASEP, we're trying to really parang do awareness training and awareness seminars to LGUs tsaka engineers kasi nga yun yung feeling namin na we sort of lack. But the codes are there, so it's really how to implement it.
Oo, na dapat nasusunod, ano?
Yes,
Tsaka walang shortcut. Eh, yung mga nagpapatayo ng bahay, yung binanggit mo na kanina.
Yun nga eh. So, it's yung perspective lang natin eh. Kumbaga, you spend a little more, pero yung safety naman, especially ikaw titira doon eh. So what's a little additional
naman na talaga ng engineer.
Diba? Ang kapalit naman buhay. So kailangan may change of perspective tayo doon.
Na hindi kung sino-sino lang yung gagawa. Dr. Ted, anong pinaka-importanting dapat natin tandaan in terms of survival and earthquake?
Yeah. First and foremost, you have to profile. Profile who, what, where. When I say who, for example, ako, lalaki, or babae, or bata, PWD, elderly. Where? Saan ka ba? High-rise ka ba? Low-rise ka ba? You're on open ground. And ilan? Ilan kayo? So, for example, high-rise ako. So, when we should know, we should create a plan. Because, for example, the usual thing we do in a high-rise, we use the elevator. When there's fire or earthquake emergency, we use the staircase. And if you are not used to going down the staircase, then we have a problem. That's where you go to create a plan. And when you create a plan is, when I say plan, is what you do before. This should be the massive thing. And what you should do, like during, you drop, cover, and hold with eyes open.
Yeah.
Because in this country, drop, cover, and hold, you smack your face to the ground. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
You don't know what's gonna fall on you. You know,
Pag mismong nagsha-shake, duck, cover, and hold ka
Duck,
na
cover, and
muna.
hold
Huwag ka
ka,
namang tatakbo ka agad.
Oh, pero yung takbo, hindi ko pwedeng pigilan eh. I cannot stop people eh. Because, you know, being an animal life form, like the mouse and the elephant, the human being, when the earth starts to shake, people will go crazy. But we have to put system. So when you do like a drop, cover, and hold, eyes open, why? We capitalize on the eyes because that's the primary sense that we use in times of survival. You do like this, you don't use your eyes, that's to your, nasa labas ka lang ng miling, nakaganon ka. Bakit? Pag may earthquake, mayroong asteroid strike din. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
And then what to do after? For example, if the building is, like, there is really, like, big damage, then you are, if you're in a workplace, there's order to go home, you do so, or if in the house, then you have to find ways and don't go back. Baka doon ka abutan. And of course, you have to have your go bag when you run away. And
Yung pag-usapan kung sa kayo magkikita, di ba? Yung
master yung rally point. And
Okay.
So that, lalo ngayon, malayo tayo sa ating pamilya.
Okay.
If something happens, we have to walk towards home. We know where to find them if they're not in the house.
Okay, thank you very much to our guests, Engineer Frederick Sison, Dr. Ted Esguera, and Engineer Rogelio Legaspi. You're watching On the Record. This is CNN Philippines. Thank you.
There's just been an earthquake felt in different parts of Metro Manila.
Yanig naman ang magnitude 4.7 na lindol ang Davao Oriental.
6.2 magnitude earthquake at San Julian in eastern Samar.